morning, Nigeria, wherever you're joining us from. Welcome to the Morning Brief. We're your breakfast companion and your second alarm. So wake up and join the Morning Brief this morning. We're so glad to be here. It's rather cool outside, but we're set to make it warm for you, bright and sprightly, so that we can set you off on a good note. Welcome, guys.
Kyle was telling me this morning that, hey, that the Harmattan is back. I don't know where you live in Nigeria, but
I don't get it.
Is the Harmattan back in your area? Well, whatever it is, as long as you just knock out to just have the people what's going on television, we're going to ensure that you stay as alive as possible.
Absolutely.
Okay, as alive as possible, that's the word. So wake up, as Bukola said, and we're going to have this great journey together on the Morning Brief this morning. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Jeffrey Uzoma.
13 days to the end of January. We're almost there, guys. It's the 18th.
Why does he keep count of this? I don't know, man.
Well, I'm Kyle Okikelu. Welcome to the show. The Harmattan just hit me today when I was on the scooter on the way to work, and I'm like, what's going on? It was really hot yesterday, really hot the day before. But then this morning, it just attacked me. I felt attacked on my way to work this morning. So you might want to get prepared for the weather today. Hydrate a lot, get some warm clothing for the children as well who might be going to school. You might want to get some extra clothing for them. The weather is unpredictable. It's not just in Nigeria, it's across the world. One day it's hot, the next day it's winter and the rest, but it's important to prepare for the weather. So some warm clothing, some warm coffee, tea, pap, whatever. But just make sure you stay warm.
Well, the Harmattan is a brilliant relief from the initial heat that we started feeling at the beginning of January. So we're grateful for the Harmattan. It's pleasant on your skin and it sets you up on a good note in the morning. But really, you should also get your lip balm in addition to all the other weather tips that Kaudi has given to you. Get your lip balm so that you don't go around with dry lips. Yes.
Absolutely. And talking about the Harmattan, I just wish it extends to places like Côte d'Ivoire, where our boys will be out tonight.
Right.
They'll be out tonight against Côte d'Ivoire. Okay, right? Okay, so 6 p.m. Kaudi was in Nigerian time. She said local time. I don't know. All the times. But we're going to be watching the match by 6 p.m. today, Nigeria against Côte d'Ivoire. It was a draw against Equatorial Guinea. Let's see how that plays out today. So I was saying that I wish this Harmattan, because I was watching the match yesterday, I think between Zambia and one other country. At night, they were still sweating. You can see that the temperature is quite. So
it's really
people who are
there.
advocates of climate change and all of that, I'm sure they're going to be making statements concerning this, that there's a climate emergency. We need to do something. So that also brings up that particular issue.
Yeah, you talk about Super Eagles. I don't know if we're getting ahead of ourselves because we love our Super Eagles. We love our football. So one is about the lip balm you talked about. I think it's very important. Men and women, because I know there's this sense, Jeff, that only women should moisturize their lips, their skin, and the rest. But you have to do that. Protect your skin. Yeah, black don't crack, but please help black.
My wife has tried a lot to make sure I use a lot of lip balm.
I wasn't even talking about you, Jeff.
I'm just saying, I'm guilty. I'm guilty.
Guilty conscience, right?
I put in in fact, she buys for me, I put in the bag and all of that. I always forget to use it until your lips. Okay. Maybe I'll begin to learn. I'll put it in my pocket.
The morning brief will be your reminder.
Probably.
Yeah.
Okay.
Take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Yes, we're going to talk about Super Eagles, Sadiq Kumar, that whole controversy around. We thought he was injured. Now he's playing for his club, was substituted. It was 79 minutes yesterday, Real Sociedad, and we're like, wait,
wonders will never end.
Well, guys, let's be kind. Anything could have happened in between treatment and getting back into the team. And he may be on his way back to Nigeria for the crucial match against Côte d'Ivoire.
I don't think he works like that.
It's not happening in Nigeria. It's happening in Côte d'Ivoire.
But that's one, but it doesn't just work like that.
You can't just walk in and walk out. Well, it's a tournament that's well organized. You can't just walk in and then walk out.
It's locked. It's locked. Well, except there's an extraordinary circumstance, which is quite rare, but at this rate, nah, I don't think so.
Well,
I love your faith.
It also speaks to the subject matter about patriotism, for the team, whether it's football, but any other sport in the country where we've lost many of our talents to, the international community, and we wonder What's happening to Nigerian sports?
So maybe we'll get maybe Cecilia, Yemi, Austin, and the entire crew will be able to provide answers as to how he was injured, and then he found himself in the club side playing for almost the entire 90 minutes. And then it was quite critical for us to have him in Cote d'Ivoire, but right now we don't have him anymore. But hey,
guys,
things happen. There's a lot more on the show.
Besides Sadiq Umar, we're playing against Cote d'Ivoire, and they're going to be playing at home, and we're playing against a team that is playing at home. They're the hosts, but they're playing at home. What do you think is going to happen, guys?
Well, they say that
extra pressure on us.
We're at home, by the way. Africa is home for us. So whether
I like your face. It's my turn to say I like your face.
Well, sometimes those things count. Sometimes it doesn't count. It depends. For me, you already know that at some point you're going to play against this guy. So it's not like it just happened. They didn't just put the fixtures out. There were draws, and you had the time to prepare mentally to know that, okay, we're going to see our boys squaring up against the host today. So I'm sure they're used to these things. So wherever you play, somebody's going to be the host someday.
Yeah.
And you need to be able to, brace yourself and get the job done. So that's not an excuse. I understand there's that advantage and all of that, because I'm not even impressed with the outing for, it's getting better, by the way. But our last match, and even the match for Egypt and Ghana, most of the stadia were quite empty. I don't know. So I don't know whether Cote d'Ivoire doesn't really love football as much as they say they love football. Because I know if it's Nigeria, irrespective of who is playing for, the fact that we have that tournament, whether it's happening in Lagos, Uyo, Abuja, Kano, anywhere, a lot of people will just want to witness that memorable event. So there's no excuse. There's no pressure, but there's no excuse. Look, you knew you were going to face the boys from Cote d'Ivoire. Just do the job.
The predictions people put out was 2-1 in favor of Nigeria, because people were asked to predict online, and people kept saying 2-1. While we hope for the best, we expect the very best, you have to recognize that we need to support our team. No pressure, but we need to support them, but it's going to be a very tough game. Yes.
Just get us
the boys, the Cote d'Ivoire team, they're used to the terrain.
Yeah.
That's where they play often. So what happened against Mali and South Africa? The South African coach had to say, well, these guys had more energy than we do. And perhaps it's also because of their own weather. So when they got to Cote d'Ivoire, it was like playing at home again, and they could withstand all of the elements. So it's going to be a tough match. We expect our boys to shine. We're supporting them all the way. And if they fall our hand, as we say in Nigeria, we'll of course come after them. But all the best, boys.
Well, it all goes down to preparation, and perhaps Coach Basero has taken a look at the formation and has tightened up all of the loose ends so that we don't have missed opportunities as we did during the last match. So no pressure, guys. But we're pregnant with expectations.
Bukola is already a pundit, like.
All right.
What?
So be clinical. Are you hearing Bukola? Like, we have to be a bit more clinical in our finishing.
The pregnant part.
What's going on?
Speaking of pregnant, the morning brief this morning is pregnant with a lot of promise for you. Speaking of which, your day starter, let's go through it. Now, besides the amazing tourism potential that Nigeria has, we have more than 146,000 tourism sites.
Wow.
The country boasts a diverse and colorful cultural heritage that can combine to make the West African country a Dubai of sorts. Despite this abundant resource component, however, the sector contributes only 2% to national GDP. So how can Nigeria harness her natural endowments to transform the country into one of the top preferred global tourism destinations? Well, one of our many national questions, right? Which we'll be putting through to the man known as the tourism plug. So be assured of tangible tips for your next inbound vacation plans. So that's an instruction. Don't go outside Nigeria for your next vacation. All right, what's up next, guys?
All right, speaking of marketing Nigeria on the global stage, we'll adjust to our lens to focus on the man who knows it all in terms of how to market Nigeria. As far as the creative space is concerned, you're talking about international collaboration, working with big names. That's the guy. The Nigerian music industry will yet again be on the front banner today as we feature this gentleman who has worked with Kanye West and Jay-Z, yet chooses to operate from the rear, where he discovers talents and give them wings to fly. Yes, the morning brief goes up close and personal with this music entrepreneur. You're seeing him on your screen. His name is Bankulli. He's going to join us at some point on the show. He's already here.
One to look forward to. Well, entertainment is good for your soul, absolutely. But just as important is your pocket size. Oh, yes, you have to check that. So What's the value of your Naira currently? Maybe the answer is somewhere in the latest rate of 1,300 to the dollar, following strong demand on the parallel market, also known as the black market. Our business correspondent brings us all the insights, especially about how this slide in the value of the Naira is affecting diaspora remittances. That's, of course, a big conversation on the show this morning.
Yes, in addition to all of that bumper package, we also have your contributions to all of this. So your posts on X, they're welcome. Tweet at us, #CTV Morning Brief. Yeah, we're all trying to get used to the transition. X, post at us, #CTV Morning Brief. Don't forget that you can also send us your videos, particularly of trending stories that we will authenticate. Yes, that's a WhatsApp number. Send us your videos, your comments, and your contributions. We're ever so willing to share on your favorite breakfast companion, CTV Morning Brief.
Fantastic. So it's going to be quite a ride for all of us right here. And as usual, we will ensure you have a fabulous, fabulous morning. And of course, what better way to start your morning than with this gentleman and this lady and myself and all of us will do this together. We're going on a quick break now. When we come back, we'll bring you our top stories. Join us again.
You're still with the CTV Morning Brief, and we're reaching you live from our global headquarters here in Lagos. Time now for your top stories this morning, as we start off in Oyo State, the capital, Ibadan to be precise. Now, the aerial view of the Ibadan explosion presents a stark reality about the impact, but rescue operations below further drives home the message. And as rescue operations continue at the scene of the explosion at the Adeyi area of Bodija in Ibadan, Governor Seyi Makinde says 3 people have died and 77 people sustained various degrees of injuries from the blast. The governor, who disclosed this at a press briefing in his office after visiting the scene of the blast for a second time, explains that an emergency response center has been created to deal with complaints of those affected and any other information that can help government's investigation.
Preliminary investigations have traced this blast to the storage of explosives by illegal miners at a house on Dejo Oyelese Street, Bodija. Security agencies, first responders, emergency services, and all other relevant agencies have been working diligently as they carry out search and rescue operations. I would like to appeal to our people to remain calm as we do everything possible to provide succor to everyone concerned.
President Bola Tinubu has ordered the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to work with the Oyo State government to offer immediate and comprehensive relief to victims of the explosion that rocked Ibadan on Tuesday. The explosion, which took residents of the Oyo State capital by surprise, left 2 persons dead and about 80 injured. It also destroyed several buildings, vehicles, and other properties. In a statement by the presidential spokesperson, Ajirin Gilali, President Tinubu expressed sadness over the devastating explosion and directed that those behind the explosion should be fished out and punished. And similarly, the Minister of Defense says a thorough investigation is being launched into the explosion which occurred in Ibadan. Briefing State House correspondents shortly after the Federal Executive Council meeting, the Minister, Mohammed Badaru, says FEC also set up a committee to look into the issues of environmental degradation, deforestation, and illegal mining in the country.
In today's deliberation, the explosion in Ibadan was raised, and the government sympathized with the victims and the very good people of Oyo State. And currently, investigation is ongoing to find out the real cause of the blast and to see how best we can prevent it happening in the future, where the governor suggests at the preliminary investigation revealed that there are some explosives around the area that it happens that are owned by some illegal miners. While we have seen that report, there is another report that is suggesting also gas explosion. So our team are there to try to find out what is the cause.
Away from Ibadan, the Oyo State capital now, insecurity in the FCT is still agitating the minds of many and is now eliciting action from the authorities as the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, on Wednesday launched a special team tagged the Special Intervention Squad to reduce the spate of kidnappings in the Federal Capital Territory. At the launch of the special squad in Abuja, the police boss said the team comprised specially trained mobile police officers and they will be replicated in neighboring states to address the challenge of insecurity. In the same vein, the Minister of the FCT, Mr. Nyesom Wike, has vowed that his administration will leave no room for bandits to operate in the Federal Capital Territory. Mr. Wike says the president has made available all logistics required by security operatives to combat the menace. The minister was speaking at a town hall meeting with the Buhari Area Council chairman, traditional rulers, security operatives, and residents of Buhari in Abuja.
My coming here today is to assure you that we are very, very serious. We are very, very serious. All those criminals, bandits, enough is enough. We will do everything within our powers to make sure that we will not allow this to happen again. These bandits were chasing away from the northeast. So they are making their way down. We cannot be encouraging kidnappers. We have to stop this idea of going to radio to say we are ready to raise money. When you do that, these criminals are happy.
And now let's head to the courts as the Supreme Court has reserved judgment on appeals arising from the governorship elections held in Sokoto and Taraba states. In the Sokoto suit, Saidu Umar of the People's Democratic Party sought to void the election of Ahmed Aliyu of the All Progressives Congress, APC, as Sokoto state governor. While in Taraba case, Sani Yahaya of the New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, is seeking the sack of Governor Kefas Agbu of the PDP. After hearing both appeals separately, a 5-member Apex Court panel of justices adjourned to a date that would be communicated to all parties. Now, the Apex Court will also hear the Kaduna and Gombe governorship appeal hearings today. So there are a number of developments to come from the highest court in the land in the coming days. Staying with the courts now, call it victory for the broadcasters' bid for self-regulation. And you may not be wrong. Well, Justice Rita Ofili Ajumogobia of the Federal High Court, Abuja, has nullified the National Broadcasting Commission's power to impose fines on broadcast stations for alleged breaches of the Nigeria Broadcasting Code, delivering judgment in a suit instituted by the Media Rights Agenda against the NBC. That's following the Commission's imposition of fines of 5 million naira each on a television station and 3 pay TV platforms in 2022 for allegedly undermining Nigeria's national security by broadcasting documentaries on banditry in Nigeria. Justice Ajumogobia held that the NBC, not being a court of law, acted above its powers by imposing such fines. In its reasoning, administrative and regulatory bodies could not exercise judicial powers. Well, seems there's a lot more legal gymnastics to come on that one, particularly between the NBC and the Broadcasters Association. Moving to other stories now, Nigeria's central bank says it has cleared up the entire forex liability of 14 banks with the payment of about $2 billion of the backlog across sectors such as manufacturing, aviation, and petroleum. In a statement released on Wednesday, the financial market regulator mentioned that it has also commenced the settlements of forex with foreign airlines. And similarly, the Apex Bank says it will collaborate with relevant agencies to sanction non-compliant forex transactions after its forensic review uncovered widespread abuse, severe infractions, and substantial non-compliance with market regulations. And outside our shores, U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan on Tuesday said peace between Israel and the Palestinians, along with the expansion of the Abraham Accords, was possible in the near term, despite the ongoing war in Gaza. It's not impractical, according to him, and the pieces are there to be put together to achieve this outcome, and not years down the road, but in the near term. And that's if all of us, in his words, pull together and make the wise and bold decisions to choose this course. Sullivan said this during the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. And finally, African Footballer of the Year, Victor Osimhen, sits out training as Nigeria regroup at their team base the day after being held to a draw by Equatorial Guinea in their first match of the Africa Cup of Nations. Also sitting out the Monday training session are Vice Captain William Troost Ekong and Moses Simon. The Super Eagles will face host nation Cote d'Ivoire in their second Group A match on Thursday by 6 p.m. Nigerian time. And that's it on the top stories for you this morning. So many things happening, and we're going after all of the stories just for your benefit, just so that you can make informed decisions as you start out your day. I'm being joined by the very dependable man in my life, well, on the program. Well, we were just talking about Ahmed Musa earlier on, and we have the captain and vice sitting out training. You know, to what extent will this affect the match for today?
I don't think it's anything to be worried about. These things happen. Doesn't mean they will miss the match. It might just be part of the tactics, the psychology before the game. So don't get carried away by this. We'll still have 11 players against 11 players.
That's quite reassuring.
Yes.
Yeah, sometimes these things happen. Yeah, you know, football sometimes is more psychology than even skill, because skill is not in doubt. We have them in abundance at the end of the day. So however you can use, whatever you can use to win a match, please adopt it. Legally.
Throw everything.
You know, we've seen the hand of God. We've seen people, you know, simulating.
I like that, the hand of God.
Yeah, we've seen all kinds of things happen in the field. So it's really nothing to worry about. But, you know, everybody's trying to take it as much as easy as possible, because the coach actually said that he wants to lower the pressure on them because he knows that they are under a lot of pressure, given the fact that they don't have a maximum point. So I'm sure that they are doing all of this to make sure that, hey, everybody is intact, because if Truth is out, if Osimhen is out, then there's danger lurking around. So whatever we can do to keep those boys going and ensure we get the maximum point against the host today in Cote d'Ivoire, we will do it. So nothing to worry about, Bukola.
Yeah. And some of your own contributions to the program this morning as we start off what's happening in Ibadan, to be precise. David Fatumbi is telling us, I went to the site of the explosion at Bodija this morning. It occurred just a few houses from Bodija Estate Baptist Church. It damaged all the nearby houses. A church was 60% damaged. A small Domino's, Bon Hotel, and other commercial buildings nearby were affected. That's massive, massive infrastructure gone there. And I believe this may also affect, you know, the jobs, you know, that are available from these infrastructure, these malls and hotels.
This is coming from Akbar Chigoze. It says the impact of this explosion in Ibadan can't just be reduced to dynamite. The spread is quite large, and therefore there needs to be a thorough investigation into it. That's coming from Akbar Chigozie over the incident in Ibadan.
I mean, quite emotional for a lot of people. For some, it's news. For some, it's happening far away. But for some other people, that's their reality. That's what they're
close to home.
They can't live in their homes anymore. Their homes are destroyed totally. So our hearts just go out to everyone who's been affected emotionally, physically, you know, financially, and the list goes on and on. People who have lost loved ones as well. Take a look at this one from Samuel. It says, it's a question, and I know a lot of people have been asking this question. Do we even have an agency or any agency in this country that can carry out a thorough investigation on this kind of impact? All they have for us are just guesses and the rest. It's important to note, Samuel, and I think this presents an opportunity for us to sort of educate. There are several agencies that are responsible for things like this. And let's just walk you through those agencies. There's MPF, there's NSCDC, DSS, SEMA, that's the State Emergency Management Agency. Then there's NEMA, that's the National Emergency Management Agency. There's Nigeria Army involved, Federal and State Fire Service. There's Nigeria Red Cross, the State Ministry of Environment. There's even Amotekun actually in on this as well.
Yeah.
And you may have heard EOD, Explosives Ordnance Disposal Unit. So we actually have these things. Just because you're not in that field doesn't mean they don't exist, doesn't mean they don't do their job. So it's important to ask those questions, but also get some sort of education so we all work together and ask the appropriate questions. But that's that from Samuel.
That's quite a list there, and those agencies should be answering questions.
I mean, I've even missed some of them actually.
There are loads of agencies, loads that we don't know about. So one of the ways you get to know they exist is when the president presents a budget. There you can see, yes, just go to the budget and you see all the agencies.
Emergency situations like this happen.
There you go, you get to see all of them.
Well, this one is from Ben Bombola. I hope I called it correctly. He says they need to deploy an EOD team to that site immediately.
There you go.
It really looks like the aftermath of military-grade explosives.
And this
could there still be landmines there? We sincerely hope not.
Well, landmines would be in a...
Maybe landmines is the wrong word,
yeah.
but could there still be some form of danger?
Because we're not in a state of war. This is not Russia, Ukraine, or what have you. You don't expect, I mean, landmines will be going too far into that. So maybe there may be some undetonated explosives. Maybe not. Maybe there could be other buildings that are involved in this. Maybe not. And that's why it's important to have all of those investigations.
And this is coming from Livingstone, aerial view of Ibadan explosion. There's no way you can tell me that this was a dynamite explosion. Please, proper investigation should be carried out. And I'm sure the government is not just looking at ground zero. They're also looking at other buildings for structural integrity, because I saw the aerial view and in a flash, you almost think this is Gaza or some portion of Gaza, and it's just disturbing to see that happen. And this has to be, I like what the governor is saying already, that he's seeking the consent. He's going to discuss with the president, because things like this are under the exclusive list in terms of mining and all of that. So there are many things in the schedule of the exclusive list. So he's saying, look, I'm going to sign an executive order that if you have to do any form of mining for whatever reason, you will need to keep those dynamite or whatever it is, you keep it with the military. And then when you need it, you go carry it and you'll be escorted so that we monitor how these things move, because 3 people are dead. Infrastructure destroyed, people are in the hospital. It is not fair.
It isn't fair at all.
It also speaks to mining regulation, following the domestication of the Act in 2017, giving more powers to the state. What's happening with regulation? And this is a lesson, particularly for other states, to take a second look at mining activities in their communities, in their domains, and apply the necessary rules such that we don't have a repeat of this incident.
Very important point you raised, really. Just to add to it, that Governor Makinde said in one of our programs that the CAC certificate of a mining company indicted for that explosion showed some foreign names as owners, and this just opens yet another vista, really, in this investigation. Something that we have raised time and again, and you guys have said it, regulation. But there's more that you are saying online. We keep our eyes on what's going on in Ibadan and get answers to some of the questions you have raised about investigation, who's in charge, what do they know already, what's the way forward. But then there's something from sports this morning. Take a look at what people are saying about Sadiq Umar. Yes, we've talked about Sadiq Umar just briefly, but what are you saying about him? Well, take a look at this one from AB saying, Umar Sadiq featured for his club yesterday. I know most fans don't care because they don't rate him. Well, to each his own. But this person says, I always rated him. And to me, that's disrespectful. It's important to say we do not know all of the facts. And Bukola said it may have been a miracle. It may have been a misdiagnosis. It may have been a lot of things. So we're not quite sure what played out. Pun intended.
Well, well, this is coming from Honorable Musa Auta. He said, we all know the agenda behind the Nigerian Super Eagles attacker, Umar Sadiq. Sadiq injury wasn't that serious, and it was a minor one. the conjecture and all of that. People are saying a lot of things, and it will interest you to know that he's among the squad list to face Osasuna in the Spanish Copa del Rey Cup. Wow, these guys are FBI.
People are following, but these things are out there anyway.
These guys
can actually literally
so this is a clear indication that he can play against Ivory Coast in AFCON. But the management decided to replace him with Paul Onachu based on medical report given to the coach. Well, I can't read the next one anyway. But he's suspecting that this was something beyond just an injury. Maybe, in his view, according to him, they didn't want him to play and they just had to look for an excuse. Well, we don't know. As Kaido said, we don't have all the facts. So we're going to talk to our sports guys to know exactly what.
Pesero seems confused.
Yes.
You know, from what we've seen, he said he doesn't know how to even place what's going on yet.
So the pundits and all of that, the sports guys will be able to explain to us exactly what happened to Sadiq Umar that he was injured. And then the next thing he's playing for his club. In fact, he's going to play again for his club. So we'll find out pretty soon.
Well, Jeffrey, kind of this time around, I'm going to plead the fifth so that I don't make another slip as far as Umar is concerned.
You're covered.
You're covered, don't worry.
This one is from Okafor Michael, and he says, a lot of questions have been asked with regards to Umar Sadiq's introduction into club's team last night. But the point here is, will the Super Eagles medical team treat him as good as the club? Good question.
Well, that question is a big one. But I think the mentality, we just need to be patriotic, because at the end of the day, when you look at history, what happened to the veterans and all of that when they needed a country at the end of the day, is quite difficult not to think the way the boys are thinking, because they say, oh, when something happens to us, nobody cares about us. But at the end of the day, we just have to be patriotic as a people, whether you are playing for the Super Eagles or you're a president, a governor, or you're even in a civil service or private sector. Patriotism is quite critical, because we know where they're coming from, but hey, you signed up, just do the job.
Just quickly to make the point, he was substituted at the 73rd minute to that.
Why are you on that point?
No, I said 79th, but just to get my facts right. Omar Sadiq came in for Andre Silva in 73rd minute. That match between
that's about 2/3 of the time.
And Real Sociedad, which is what he was referring to, that he's on the squad list. So the match has actually been played. So there you go. That's all we have.
Yeah, Jeffrey spoke about patriotism. Well, patriotism is a collective responsibility. Either it's from, the players, or from the football administrators, or from the ministry itself. It's something that we should all keep reflecting on and fulfill our responsibility to whatever causes that have been committed to us. Well, we have so much more coming your way this morning. We'll take a moment. When we come back, we'll start off with a very critical conversation that affects you. Stay with us.
See, this year there are not more than 10,000 people coming here.
Beautiful sight you just saw there. A local working on a pottery material, so to speak, for want of better description. So it's not a lack of tourism potential, natural resources, some of them that come with the mystique of it. I mean, talk about the Oshobo Festival, the Groove in Oshobo, the Egbunike Cave, and all of those rivers and streams that come with ancient stories and legends. It's actually an abundance of it. But why are we not harnessing all of those potential and turning it into Forex? Let's have that conversation this morning as we welcome you to this next segment. And let's also welcome Mr. Kingsley, the plug. Okoro is your tourism plug as far as tourism in Nigeria is concerned. He joins us from our Abuja studio. Welcome to the Morning Brief, Mr. Okoro.
Yeah, good morning.
Yes, we're glad to have you. So I just mentioned a few, but you are the tourism plug, Mr. Okoro. Walk us through those brilliant, magnificent tourism destinations in Nigeria that that we overlook, and we go after others in other countries, and the potential that they carry, not just for those of us at home, to magnify them and market them to the outside world, but also for foreigners to come and witness nature's endowment of Nigeria.
Hello?
Did you get the question? Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you go back again, please?
Okay, Mr. Okoro, I'll take it a little slowly this time. Walk us through those brilliant, magnificent tourist sites that we have in Nigeria that we pretty much overlook and prefer to go outside for our vacations. And perhaps you can also tell us some of those things that make those places compelling, such that we can begin to take a second look at it and ensure that we keep all of that foreign currency, all of the money at home by patronizing these tourism sites.
Yo, hello.
Hello, Mr. Okoro.
Don't worry, we'll have this conversation.
Mr. Okoro, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You can hear me now?
Yes, I can. Yeah, I can.
Okay, okay. I'd like you to walk us through those tourism sites in Nigeria that we pretty much overlook, but that have the potential, to transform our economic fortunes and bring in foreigners, to those sites.
I do say, I can hear you, but I can hear you like I do say, the tourism sites in Nigeria,
we have a lot of potential, a lot of amazing places, lot of amazing places we can explore and make money from. Yeah, like places like Obudu Ranch, Yankari Games Reserve, Gura Waterfalls. These are lovely sites. Like I do tell people, what we have in this country, I don't think most African countries have it. What Nigerian, especially what we have, like in Abuja, for example, we have about 10 waterfalls in Abuja. Just here in Abuja. In Abuja, we have 10 waterfalls here in Abuja. We have damn beautiful sites here in Abuja. I'm not talking of other states, like I was in Obudu Ranch recently. Obudu, I call Obudu the ninth wonders of the world. Obudu is a lovely site, amazing, amazing. I'm so passionate about the growth of local tourism here in Nigeria that we don't need to visit anywhere to explore other countries. Instead of, I think, instead of we taking our money out to other countries, we have a lot here. But again, it still falls back to the management. Like I do say, you can't go to places like Obudu Ranch. In terms of nature, yes, it's fine. Lovely sites, beautiful landscape with the waterfalls, amazing. But again, management, where you go, no light, no water, no food. Imagine you going to places like Yankari Games Reserve. I was there recently last year. I went with my team with over 70 people. We got there was no light in Yankari Games Reserve. And I was like, how will this attract tourists? How will it attract visitors here? I met with the management and the excuse they gave was not good enough. So it's so sad. It's so sad. Very, very sad. Even while I was in Yankari, do you know there's a place in Yankari called the Wicked Warm Spring, where you wake up, if the weather is hot, the water gets cold. If the weather is cold, the water gets hot. Amazing sight, the Wicked Warm Spring. While I was there, some people came all the way from Canada to come and explore this place, but they couldn't sleep over there. The problem was like, how can I come over all the way from Canada, but no good accommodation? They left almost immediately. So these are what we are missing. This is as a country. So I believe the government, I believe this new administration needs to do a lot in terms of tourism.
All right, the plug. Before we go to the challenge, because we know there are challenges, maybe you, just to follow up on Bukola's question, maybe you walk us through some states that, because I know you've mentioned Yankari, I know you've mentioned Abuja, I know you've mentioned Cross River, but I know there are more places. Since you're the plug, I'm sure you could list some places so that Nigerians who don't know get to know these places. I'm asking that question because when you look at how our structure financially is, a lot of states are depending on federal government for money when they have this tourism potential. So which other states, besides Cross River, the places in Yankari and Abuja, that you know that have this potential?
We have places like the Osun Osogbo. Yeah, we have the places like in Nasarawa. We have one of the tallest waterfalls it's called Rafin along Kefi Road. Big waterfalls there. In Niger State, we have the Shiro Dam. There's a place called, I think I sent the video if you can check. It's called I call it the Niagara Falls of Nigeria. Beautiful site in Solija. It's less than 15 minutes to there, so less than 45 minutes to this site. Beautiful site, but it's been abandoned. No government presence there. We just go there. There's nothing really going on there. We also, in Calabar also, we have the Agbokim Waterfalls in Calabar. These are lovely places. In my state, in Delta State, we also have one of the biggest rivers in Delta State. So these are places I strongly believe the government needs to look at. We need to look at it. We can't just ignore tourism. We can't ignore this site because it's really, really, it's sad going to these places without the presence of of government there. So that's it basically.
I know that in spite of all of this, people still choose to patronize these sites. And I mean, you're a typical example of someone who is championing the cause. I call it the plug, right? You also have this hikers club, the K Hikers Club, essentially, where you have a group, I don't know, is it hundreds or thousands of people sign up who get to hike around the nation's capital, Abuja, and the rest. So there are actually people still patronizing this in spite of patronizing the sites in spite of these challenges. So I'd like to know, one, what's your favorite tourist site in Nigeria? Maybe we can use this to recommend.
Maybe use us top 5.
Your top 5 tourist sites in Nigeria. And talk to us about the potentials in the nation's capital.
I think Obodo Cataract comes from me first. It's amazing. Obodo is so amazing. Yeah, like I just said earlier, it's the 9 wonders of the world. Obodo is not bad. There is also Badagry, the beach in Badagry. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Yankari will be my third, in as much as they have their own challenges there. Yankari too is good because of the safari, the warm spring, then the safari walk also. Imagine going to places like Yankari, waking up in the morning, seeing elephant there, going there, seeing lions. I hope you know we have lions in Nigeria. We have elephant, we have hippopotamus, we have antelope, we have water bugs. These are animals. Most people don't know. And again, I think there should be a pamphlet. Once you arrive in Nigeria, especially at the airport, the international wings, or even the local wing, there should be a small pamphlet to show our tourist site attraction in a small magazine, so that people will know that this place actually exists. Let's go back. Let me come down to Abuja. Abuja has a lot of places, There's a place in Oshafa before Buhari. It's called the Pottery House. Do you know the president of US was there? He visited there, that was in 1991. He went there to see how they mold pot and clay and cups. There's also a place, it's called the Osman Dam. That's one of the biggest dams in Abuja. Quiet, serene, lovely place. The view is amazing. You can even go there with your family for vacation. Just go there, spend some time there. There's a place very close to the studio here. It's about 20 minutes drive from here. It's called the Pendant Dam. It's a dam in between the villa, the Nile Valley and Asokoro. I hope you know that from my survey, 60% of Asokoro residents don't know there is a dam there. Lovely place, and it's open. These places are open. So that's it.
So for you, Mr. Okoro, is it a lack of awareness, that makes the patronage of these sites, rather on the low side, particularly on the part of Nigerians, or is it just our love for whatever is exotic that compels us to look outside, for tourism attraction?
It still falls back to lack of awareness, because most people don't know this place exists. Even the biggest stone very close to us here, that's the biggest stone in Nigeria, the Zuma Rock. There is no government presence in Zuma Rock. There's no awareness that this is the biggest stone in Nigeria. While passing there by 7, 8 in the evening, it's dark. You won't see a signboard that, oh, you're welcome to Zuma Rock, for the biggest stone in Nigeria. It's just there being ignored. I think it's been ignored for the past hundreds of years. There's no government presence there. Awareness, like I just say, even in our school, our children should know that there's a place called the Zuma Rock Yankari Games Reserve. Other places are other new sites are also popping out. But the ones we know, our generation know, is still the old curriculum that we were taught in school. That's the Yankari Games Reserve, the Guerra Waterfall. That's what is being taught. I don't know, I'm not sure. Kids of nowadays will know places like, even Obodo. Yeah, Obodo that is here. I don't think they will know places like Obodo. I'm not talking of the dam, even in Abuja here. How about the Karisha Waterfall, the Rafin River in Nasarawa? These are places we need to visit. These are places that can generate us money, good money. People come all the way from Canada to come and explore the Niagara Falls. I just show you guys on the screen now. All the way from Canada, people came all the way from Singapore to look at this site. I've taken almost all races on tours. They come and look at this spot and look at, wow, what is the Nigerian government doing? And as much as we have the insecurity, people are still coming. People are still visiting here. Last week, we were over 200 that went for hiking. And as much as there's insecurity, people still want to explore. People still want to visit this site. So what I think the government needs to do is to create awareness. There should be awareness. There should be a pamphlet at the airport, in our institutions, that this place actually exists. That's it. That's my point for now.
All right, Mr. Okoro, I can see how passionate and almost frustrated all at the same time for you, because you're just worried like somebody in that space why, it's more like what I'm hearing you say is, why are we ignoring money? So, talking about the money game, investors.
Yeah, yes. Places like here in Abuja, Abuja is a very, very boring town. Abuja is a boring town. Places like Karishi Waterfalls, big waterfall that is being ignored. It's been there for thousands of years within a secondary school. The biggest waterfall, Bukola Kayode. If you get there, you'll be amazed that, wow, This thing actually exists here in Abuja. No government present, no access road to this place.
So my question is,
fetch us money.
Okay, my question is, now that government is not doing anything, do you think we should be thinking of privatizing these places? Is that the next conversation, so that private investors can come in and take this thing?
Are they willing to partner? Yeah, the question is, are they willing to partner with private firm, private individuals? I was in Gura recently, last 2 weeks. I met the locals there. I was like, if someone come in here and take over here, what do you guys? They said they want to let work from our handle. That's their fear. Even in Yankari, Games Reserve, we've brought to the management, we've brought to the state government in Yankari that here can actually work. Yankari can generate us good money. Good money in Yankari, money we are missing in Yankari, but are they willing to partner with private firms? Most of these people, especially the locals, we think jobs will be taken away from them. I think that's their fear. I can be in places like Yankari, no light, no food. Nothing is going on there. It's just a place, it's just a building that is being ignored for years.
Oh dear, quite a number of issues you have raised.
Private people, are they willing to partner with them?
Good question you've raised. I know there's a Minister of Tourism now. There's now a Ministry of Arts, Culture and Creative Economy.
And there's a Ministry of Tourism.
You get. So we have ministries that have been positioned. What they're doing is another question entirely. I know Dayo Adedayo has this, book of images about tourist sites in Nigeria. And for the first time, I was wowed about this site in Nigeria. I have a copy at home by Dayo Adedayo. Maybe people can get the book. So speak to us about what it really costs if you want to explore these sites. Because Jeff talked about the money. So let's really link the money together. Is it expensive? If I want to go to these tourist sites, how much do I need to save to ensure I have a good time? How many tourist sites can I cover?
Walk us through. Your bank account, Kayode. You don't need to break your bank account to visit this site. You don't need to. The biggest stone that is in Abuja is free. The access is free. You can just pass there and look at the biggest stone. It's free. No entrance fee to look to see Zuma Rock. To go to Obudu, instead of wasting thousands of dollars visiting places like Kenya and the rest. Obudu is less than 150,000 now. You spend good 4 days there. Good 4 days to see the view, have access to water,
can you say that again?
Accommodation, everything. 150,000 now to explore Obudu.
Is that with light or without light? Is it with power supply or without power supply?
Although the light, no, with power. Although they ration the power comes on in the morning and in the afternoon they turn it off.
Oh,
but other than that, it's not as bad as people think. Yeah. Obudu is less than 150. I'm doing Obudu next month. It's still 150,000 now. It's 150. It's not as expensive. Our tours every Saturday, I came to explore this site in Abuja, the waterfall. It's less than 5,000 naira. People get with transportation. We provide transportation for people. We even give them food to explore this site. That's what we do. It's not expensive. It's not something to break your bank account, to break your account. It's not at all.
Well, Mr. Okoro, we know that there is a Tourism Regulation Act in Nigeria, the one establishing the NTDC, and the NTDC is empowered to protect tourists from crimes and theft, and he also collaborates with security agencies to ensure that tourism sites are safe. How effective that cooperation is, to its responsibilities, we're not particularly sure of now. But you said something critical earlier on about how the locals would rather not have those sites privatized, because of the fear of the loss of job and revenue that comes to them. Do you think, what role do you think local governments can play in this, such that we can monetize all of these tourism sites? Because we're always looking at the federal government. What role can the local government and traditional institutions who are around these communities, what role do you think that they can play?
It's to educate them. It's to educate the locals there. Let them know that they are not taking this thing away from you. They are trying to develop your community. It's just develop awareness, education. Let them know. Let them know this. I've met with locals in Niger State. I've met with locals in Bauchi. I've met with locals in Calabar. It's still the same fear of them taking over. You want me to collect our job for our hand? Wait to collect our job. But no, I told them that if these people take over, you guys are going to get them. But now Obudu is doing the right. Obudu now. I was in Obudu recently. I noticed they've changed a lot in Obudu. They've employed the locals there as security, as cook in Obudu. So they can also do this in places like Gra Waterfalls, Yankari Games Reserve, and all other places.
Besides that, what about administration at the local level to harness all of the potential? What about administration at the local level to help harness all of the potential that accrues from tourism?
I didn't get you.
What about administration from the local governments to help harness all of the financial potential in tourism sites?
Okay, when you talk of administration from the local government, the issue now is, at the local government, do they care about this local site? That should be a question we should be asking now, instead of we assigning the administration to them. Do they care? Do they care? I'm giving you facts, and these are facts. I was in Naira waterfalls. I met them. They said the last time government president came there is over a year. They don't come. These guys don't come there. Go there. It's just empty. It's empty. So even if hello.
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
We can hear you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, even if the local government would like to partner, are they passionate about the growth of tourism in their ward, in their community? Are they passionate? Do they care? That should be the question we should be asking them.
All right, Mr. Okoro. One other question I wanted to ask you, because you mentioned it in passing. Maybe walk us through some of the value chain in the tourism sector. I know there may be logistics people, I don't know. You just walk us through the entire value chain. So if Jeff Bukola or Kayode chooses to say, I want to go into tourism, and he wants to advise as a plug, what exactly, which part of the value chain would you advise? So if you walk us through that value chain, maybe people can be able to pick and choose what works for them, those who want to invest in the sector.
I think it's, sorry, Jeff, please. What did you say?
I was saying that the tourism sector, I'm sure, has value chain. So if you can walk us through that value chain, some people may be in charge of logistics, some people may be in charge of maybe tour guides and, all of the value chain, so that in case somebody wants to invest, he knows or she knows exactly where to put his money in to get return on investment.
Oh, okay. Like the places that I mentioned earlier, places that the power, accessibility, good road should be in check. Good road, security. In as much as we have insecurity, of course, I won't still talk down on the insecurity in places like Yankari and Obudu. We have the presence of the Nigerian forces there. They are there. But it can be better also. It can be better. My point is, there should be, like places like Naira, you just showed me now, the Naira waterfall, that's one of the biggest waterfalls in Nigeria. There is no accommodation there. There is nowhere they sell food there, no refreshment there. It's just an open ground where you just come, look at the waterfall and go. Why should I go to visit a place like, if I'm coming all the way from Lagos, if I was not in Abuja now, maybe coming all the way from Lagos or Edo State, and I decide to spend like 4 days in Naira, I might just to go to the Naira and look for a place and go and lodge. There should be accommodation there. They should put in accommodation in these places. In these places, in as much as Yankari have their shortcoming also, they should work on their power, food. There should be food. There should be a lot. There should be side attraction also there. Right. A lot.
Well, let me show you what people are saying about this conversation. Apparently, Nigerians are enjoying this, and I'm glad that this is coming out as it is. Oluwashinayomi on X, Oluwashinayomi Toyi at Adams Toyi says, I was at Ikogosi, Ekiti State last weekend. I can tell you that public-private partnership works more. The resort there is world-class. Says, prove me wrong. And then there's a picture attached. And I think it speaks to the point we're making about public-private partnership, that there are opportunities when private partners with public. And I think that's what's working in Ikogosi. Victor O says, I say it all the time, tourism will give Nigeria more money than oil if the FG focuses on it. So that's what people are saying on X about this conversation. And I'm glad you've talked about some of the value chains. Yes, you want to respond to that?
South Africa, as of last year, generated 4.8 billion naira from tourism. 4.8 billion. Rwanda generated 1.8 billion. 1.8 billion from tourism.
That's dollars.
What are we generating in tourism? $8,
Yeah.
In dollars, not in Naira. In dollars. Our eight national park in Nigeria is generating 1.80 million a year. 1.80. We wanted to pay big Nigerian artists, the likes of Whiskey or Davido. That's what 8 parks are generating in a year. It's so bad.
Wait, say that again.
It's terrible.
1.80 million naira. That's what you said.
Yes. 8 parks. When I'm talking of 8 parks, I'm talking of the biggest parks in Nigeria. I'm talking of Yankari Games Reserve. I'm talking of the one in Niger State, Edo State. The ones is in Taraba. And the one in Taraba also. That's 180 million naira. That's what we are generating in a year. Something they can pay Whiskey or Davido. That's what a whole park is generating.
We shouldn't be laughing, but this is really funny.
It's really funny.
The way you put it, Kingsley, that is not fair at all. Why would you say that? Go ahead, Bukola.
Mr. Okoro, it's funny, but okay.
Bukola, do you know there's a place, Bukola, Nigeria is fine, Nigeria is beautiful. I'm so passionate about tourism in this country. Go to places like Taraba State, the highest peak in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Visit Taraba State, you'll be amazed, you'll be shocked. The Mambila Plateau. These are places you want to go there, the weather, everything from the weather, from the agriculture, everything is different from what you see in our urban area in the city. But no, like I said, no accommodation is not there. No accommodation, awareness is not there. No much government awareness there. In places like Mambila Plateau, wasting, pure waste. How can you go to a place like Mambila Plateau in Taraba State? I will spend 18 hours to assess the place. I will go there and I don't have good accommodation.
I'm curious. I'm sorry, Bukola. I'm curious to ask because seeing how passionate you are about this, if I'm a governor, I would like to sit with you on a table and have a conversation. Have you had maybe government officials, maybe the minister or a governor of a state, knowing what's and the great work you do?
Minister of Tourism, I think she's open to work with us. She has reached out to me, and with time, she reached out to me last month. Definitely, the Minister of Tourism, they've reached out to me, and I believe maybe I guess she's busy. Maybe once she's less busy, she's definitely going to come back and we talk. Well, because we have a lot of potential. We are wasting millions here.
In fact,
focusing on oil.
We're going to have her on the show.
Now, for God's sake, for over 60 years, focusing on oil. What if the oil well dries up? What next? What are we going to do? Look at Abuja as of December. Abuja, people are looking for where to go in Abuja. No places to go in Abuja. Everywhere was jam-packed, down to the parks, zoo. Where was jam-packed? No places to go. If these places are put in order, people are willing to travel. People are willing to explore the site.
Yes.
Well, take a look at this one. Pardon me, Bukola.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's take a look at what people are saying about this on X. Uwanayo Eze says, I have always wanted to visit Obudu Cattle Ranch, but the poor management keeps discouraging me. Well, it looks like Kingsley saying things are getting better there. So sometimes it's also good, now that we're sure of security to a large extent, and he says that there's some, power supply, and then the atmosphere is good. It's always good to try these things. New Nigeria movement, I don't know if you guys saw that, hashtag CTV Morning Brief says, Nigeria is not in short of tourism assets and potentials. The problem is awareness than our culture. Our problem is less of awareness than our culture. We are averse to vacation, especially domestic tourism. Our focus is international tourism, which is volatile, unsustainable. Says those places are dilapidated due to patronage. So, that is an indictment on all of us, really. When you want to go on vacation, where do you go to? Bukola, you were going to ask a question.
And it's good that all of these things are coming to light, so that those in charge of management, can reflect on the challenges and propose whatever should be proposed to the government. But that's also good inspiration from that post from that writer on X, which leads me to my next question, Mr. Okoro. If you were to address Nigerians who have fears expressed by this writer from X, for instance, they want to go to the Mambila Plateau, looking at that picture alone from the internet, the plateau calls out to you, the splendor of it. But I am concerned about insecurity as I travel from whatever part of the country I'm coming from. What would you say to them?
Yeah, because like I told you, I was in Yankari with over 70 people. We went to two Costa bus. I was in Obodo also recently, December. Those terrains are quite safe to an extent, and we have the Nigerian security presence there. Yeah, we have them there. Those terrains are quite safe. But I wouldn't want to visit far north. I wouldn't want to go with my members. Visiting these places are very, very risky. Like places like Yobe, I wouldn't want to go there. But places like, in as much as we have insecurity and in as much as we have the high rate of kidnapping, I won't say I haven't witnessed such before. Places like Obodo Ranch, Yankari Games Reserve, Gura Waterfall, these terrain are safe, and we have military presence there also.
All right, Mr. Okoro, I just want to read a few tweets, and then you just respond as we wrap up. No matter some of the posts on X, no matter how mind-blowing the tourist attractions are, with insecurity, nothing can be generated. Let's fix security first. I know you've addressed that. Tourism should be given Nigeria more money after agriculture if a public-private partnership is well harnessed. So these are the things people are saying. This person is saying, okay, we've read one on Yesterday and all of that. So maybe your last thought to the people who are, to everybody. I want you to speak to the government. I want you to speak to the private sector. I want you to speak to citizens, because we need to be our chief marketers ourselves.
Hello, you're breaking. I can't hear you, please.
I said, in closing, I want you to speak to the government, the private sector, as well as citizens, as far as tourism is concerned.
Okay. Let me start with the state government. Please fix this tour site, these tour places. This place should be fixed. There should be power. The accommodation should be very, very okay. It should be fixed. And don't underpay your workers. Recently, as of last year, Obodo was shut down for a few months because they don't pay their workers. How won't you pay your workers? How will you pay people promoting the brand of Nigeria, promoting the image of Nigeria, not paying them? You're underpaying them. This should be fixed. This should be fixed. This should be fixed.
All right.
It should be fixed.
All right, Mr. Okoro, we want to thank you very much. I still can't get out of my mind 8 parks altogether in Nigeria make a total of, is it 1.8 million?
180.
180.
I think it's at 180.
Maybe we need to do a report on that.
We need to do a report.
Follow up on that one.
You should.
We need to do a report on that.
Bukola, I can't wait to take you guys on tour, okay?
Yeah.
No, we're coming.
We're coming.
Morning brief on the tour.
We're going to do morning brief on the tour. To support tourism, we're going to do morning brief on the road.
All right, thank you so much. Mr. Kingsley Okoro, he's known as Kingsley the Plug, is a tourism enthusiast and promoter in Nigeria. Thank you so much, Mr. Okoro, for your time, insights, and invaluable contributions on the program.
Thanks so much.
Speaking of marketing Nigeria, there's more to come as we speak with a man who's also marketing Nigeria with his own trade on the international community. Stay with The Morning Brief. We'll be right back.
What we're talking about next is not too far from tourism. In fact, it's right in the heart of tourism, right? Remember Kingsley said the parks are generating the amounts that one artist gets, and it was funny, but it was heartbreaking as well. Imagine all the parks generating just what an artist takes home on a night. And that's where we're dovetailing into this morning. Afrobeats, the music industry, just how big it is. And then we have a big name in that industry joining us on the show this morning. You might know him as something else, but let me tell you his real name. You might be shocked. His name, Oluseun Abisagbola, or we call him Bankulli or Osha. He's right here with us in our Lagos studio. Good morning, welcome to The Morning Brief.
Good morning, gentlemen.
I don't want to go us through the backstory of how we captured you, a whole Osha, to get you into the studio this morning.
I'm accessible.
You're accessible, right? Because in Yoruba, Osha is like a deity, a small god.
I mean, I see Osha as a small god. We're all created in God's image and likeness, and we're all gods. We're mini gods. You know, when God created man, he breathed the breath of life. That's what we all know. That's the story. And what is the breath? That is what makes God, something special. You know.
So you've gone spiritual path.
No, we are all. We're all.
So tell us, just for a lot of people who see you on a daily and wonder, is Bankulli a producer? Is he a singer? Is he a music exec? They know it's Osha anyway. What exactly is Bankulli? Because we see Bankulli moving things, but he's enigmatic. Please define Bankulli to us this morning.
Well, I mean, it's simple. I'm a music entrepreneur. I mean, when it comes to music entrepreneurship, you know, it goes through different compartments. You know, you talk about music production, you talk about the business of music itself. You talk about music video, you talk about filming, you know, there's so many different aspects there. And when I was coming through the ranks, you know, there was no training. The biggest training I had was being educated. I remember my dad was telling me at that time, if you want to do music, you have to be educated. I said, sir, because my dad was a teacher. And you know, teachers, they're very disciplined. You can't look at them in the face. I'm like, sir, you mean if I go to university, I can do music? He said, yes. I said, sir, can you say it one more time? And he said, if you go to school, you can do music. And I went to University of Ibadan because of that.
Oh,
yeah,
first and best.
Yeah, I did my bachelor's degree.
We're alums.
For real? Oh, greatest UI.
Great.
And I'm a third right too. So.
Oh, I'm a Kutite.
Oh yeah, I mean, I have a lot of stubborn, right? A lot of fire.
But enjoy.
You know, I remember my dad said you have to go through university. You have to be educated to be a musician. I can sing at that time. I sang in church. I was very popular, and I felt, okay, that's what I was going to do. And I remember going through the university, and when I left the uni and came back home, I thought my dad was thinking that going to school, you know, education, going to class, trying to, you know, pass your exam must have taken. He didn't know that sending me to university actually empowered me because I had opportunity to play for different fellowships, you know. There's so many churches in Ibadan, you know, interacted with people, things I don't know about music performance, playing bass guitar, playing keyboard, playing guitar, production, music production, singing. So I got to learn it physically with other people going to uni. And when I came back home, it was like, oh, okay, now, you know, let me take you to one of my friends so that you can start working. I'm like, sir.
Try again.
No, sir.
Oh, it was a different sir.
You said if I go to university, I can do music. That's what I want to do. And it was a big tussle in the house, you know. And I remembered one of those days I came back home and I came to pick my bag. I was traveling to London. And my dad was like, where are you going to? I said, sir, I'm going to London. I'll be back next month. He said, to go and do what? I said, we have a show in London, you know. And he was like, okay, kneel down. And he prayed for me.
Wow.
And that's what I've been doing all my life, you know. And I give thanks for the education part because, of course, music business involves reading. You have to, pre-read some contracts before you give it to the lawyers to peruse it. It involves common sense. You must encounter deep thinking. If not, you know, you find a lot of chaos. And of course, we see all the chaos on social media most of the time. So it involves, you know, also human management, you know, managing of resources and other trainings that you cannot get sitting home and thinking that, you know, because you have that skill alone, you can apply that to, you know, music business. It doesn't work like that.
Wow.
Well, interesting. I've been looking forward to this, Bankulli, you know, and particularly about your humility. Many may not know it, but before all of these big names became big names, you knew them and you were grooming them. I'm talking about Don Jazzy, I'm talking about D'banj, even JJC Skills. I remember all those years ago when you assembled them and gave me the opportunity to interview them.
Wow.
And we could also talk about some of the collaborations that you've worked on. Jesus with Kanye West, Lion King, The Gift with Beyonce. For some who are looking at you and, are like, wow, perhaps you want to give us some of the backstories to how you prefer to be on the back seat and put these talents together. And your name is on all of these collaborations, yet you choose the rare.
Well, I must give God the glory because it is not about, we are all choosing. You can be chosen for a part. But even if you are chosen for a part, you must be prepared. You must equip yourself with information, with wisdom, with knowledge. God gives wisdom. That's the way I see it. You're a broadcaster. I'm sure you must have gone through some kind of formal or informal training on how to present, on how to, talk to people and stuff like that. If not, there will be chaos here. I believe same is exactly what I've gone through. Remember, I told you my dad was a teacher. My dad was also the choir master of the church at that time. And so we have no choice. When he's going for choir practice, we have to go to church. I was one of the last person out of the children he had, to be the member of choir. So at some point in my life, I was a member of choir, so I can play guitar, I can play trumpet, I can play saxophone, because we're always in the church. And there was time to learn all those stuff. So I must give thanks for that wisdom to be able to, draw to that place. And from there, I learned how to play percussion, conga, shekere, drums. And for you to follow all those musical equipment, you must be disciplined, you must be humble, you must be attentive, you must be watchful, you must be learning from somebody, and having all those skills, going to university, learning about what music is myself, from other people, seeing other people's perspective. By the time I find myself in those rooms with Beyonce, with Jay-Z, with Kanye, it was as if I was practicalizing what I've been taught from way back. There was nothing. It's not as if we're all humans. Yeah. There was no extra. One person is extra skilled than somebody. Apart from me learning how they've been able to approach things. And I've been able to take that, infuse that in how I relate with people. And that's what you call experience. Gathering information from other people over time and making use of it to better yourself and to better people around you. If you are, as the Bible says, if you don't humble yourself, God will humble you. And as much as you humble yourself, God will lift you up. So there's no point, getting all those accolades and putting it in your head. It's not going to, what matters is how much people you are able to impact. I remember you were asking me the question that is it my first time in channels. If you go way back, I was coming on my way here with your driver. I was showing him the picture and video of Tenny. The first time I brought Tenny to channels, and there was no song. A video went viral on social media, and I'm like, let's go to channels. I have some friends there, let's go. And she came to channels. She was supposed to do 10 minutes interview, and Tenny did almost an hour plus interview on the Saturday Morning Belt. And with that, exposure came. People started, that girl, that's the girl. And that's how the whole stuff. For me, that is a joy. That is joy for me.
Look at what you've always been doing.
Look at what it's connecting the dots. That's what if you check my Twitter space, I put it there.
We're going to explore that because I know you did some videos and we're seeing these pictures of big, like what I see as millions of dollars. Like we're going to go to this conversation.
Billions.
Yes, billions of dollars. Kanye, Jay-Z, and all of that with Bankulli. So we're going to get to this point. But one of the things I wanted to find out from you, with streaming platforms exporting movies and comedy, with some of these people you're talking about now, rarely in Nigeria, touring Europe and America and all of that, are we really making the most from Afrobeats, in all honesty, with this explosion?
Are you talking about Nigeria or the artists?
Nigeria as a country. Are we making, because the artists are getting paid in dollars.
I hope you want me to talk.
Yes, that's why I said I asked that question.
It's a talk show, actually, so go ahead.
Are we really making the most from the explosion? I know you know the question I'm asking.
I know what you're asking about. Well, it is very sad that Nigeria as a country virtually is not benefiting economically from the boom, from the explosion of Afrobeats. For you to benefit from something, you have to be part, there must be part investment. I'm not attacking any political parties. I'm not attacking anybody in government. But I'm virtually saying that, until people begin to see music itself as not a comic, or how do you put it?
Child's play.
Child's play. Only when they want to do campaign for election, that's when you think artists are relevant. But if you look at the economic benefit of it, Davido has close to 1 billion or over 1 billion streams. Burna Boy has over 1 billion streams. Wizkid have over 1 billion streams. Rema has 1 billion streams. I mean, people streaming their music all over the world, including people from Nigeria, especially people in the diaspora. The question is, the revenue is going where?
That's the question.
The revenue will not come to Nigeria, because did Nigeria actually really invest in these boys? Considering you have people in the petroleum sector, you have people that owns Oando, that owns other things. One way or the other, government gives them rebate. I'm sure you know. Especially people like Dangote. I'm sure. But the question is, how many structures have you actually seen around that has contributed to the development of the creative industry, apart from people investing their personal energy, struggle, going through different, degrading, depressing situations to get to the top? Have you looked at it from that end? Also look at our banking. All those streams I've told you about, all those, going on tour that you're talking about, is the banking industry benefiting from it? No. If a small company or somebody that have an idea how to develop an artist from zero to this, and they show structure, they present documents, and they provide every information to all these banks, how many of them are actually ready to invest? I'm sure there should be something they call investment banking.
I know there was a time the banking industry was allowed to put money into music, maybe 8-10 years ago, but that had to stop because of some, irregularities or what have you. And there are fears, because you've raised this major issue that we need to take advantage of this now and really think holistically. Do you agree with people who say Afrobeats will only reign for maybe a few more years, so we had better take advantage of it before it becomes out of fashion? Do you agree?
But the question is that who said that Afrobeat will reign for a few more years? Who the hell is the person?
So
I'm sorry to use that.
You don't agree with any of them?
I will never agree with that. I can't agree with that, because we projected that it's going to be where it is and beyond. One thing that people do not understand is that as long as you have social media, as long as you have all those platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the rest of them, as long as you have internet, Afrobeats will never die.
Forever?
Forever. It's like you are saying that, is a 40-year-old going to go away?
No, because...
you understand? A 40-year-old is morphing into different vegetable soups.
But consumption pattern changes.
It doesn't matter. It has never changed. You still have a Dikaiko, you still have a fan. They're all, it's just the people that cook it that different.
Bankulli, what Coyote is adding, what the person may have said, is the fact that there was a time reggae was a rave. And then reggae is still being consumed, but the consumption rate now is... The
question at that time was that, who was the people, how many people were championing reggae at that time, compared to the numbers you have? On the forefront, you have Rema, you have Ashake. Ashake is pushing the street hip-hop, street vibe, as people will say it. You have Davido, you have Wizkid, you have Burna Boy, you have Tenny, you have Tiwa. You have so many of them. You have Buju, you have... You have Shea Vibe.
You have Osha.
We have God too. You understand what I'm saying? So, how do you...
That's David.
Well, so compared to reggae you just mentioned now, you have only Bob Marley, Peter Tosh, and few of them. Was the torch passed to the other generation? Yes, but there was no internet at that time. But you have social media that connects the dots faster. And that's what Afrobeat is doing.
So if there's an ambassador, like all of these Afrobeat ambassadors, who is effectively pushing reggae with the aid of the internet, reggae can go far. 100%.
If internet was existing during Bob Marley time, it will be a difficult task for Afrobeat too.
By the way, he's still sort of reigning because his music is still classic. You still listen
it's
to
still
Bob
there, but you cannot overemphasize the influence of Afrobeats. You can, I mean, few months ago, I saw like a repackaged album of Bob Marley, and you found some of those Afrobeat artists, featuring on those. Beautiful. All those. I mean, on the album, there must be a reason for that.
Bankulli, despite the absence of all of those structures that you talked about in response to Jeff's initial question, Afrobeat is still, commanding attention from the work that you're doing, and with the Kanye West of this world, Jay-Z and Beyonce, the component that you're able to introduce in your collaboration to their music. Now, I want you to speak to that and speak to what you identify as the marked difference between how they work and how we work, and if they're able to identify the potential in Afrobeat and choose to work with you, what should we be doing right, such that we can benefit from all of the potential in terms of finances, from those collaborations?
Number one, technology. I mean, there used to be a time where you have like a lot of people manning your cameras. I can see that they are all robotic now. Technology. And access to all those technology, do you really have a lot of them here in Nigeria? No. How many first-class grade A studios do you have in Nigeria? Virtually maybe few.
We have
you understand? Yeah, we have some, virtually few. I mean, in Lagos, we used to have a Remix back in the days, owned by Lagos State government.
Yeah.
Where is a Remix? A Remix can accommodate 50 choral people, choir members can be recorded. What am I saying? 100 to 500 can be recorded at a go.
What?
Yes. It was commanding one of the best equipment in terms of recording, analog, SSL, big studio. I mean, you have, the mixing board that you can record parchment of 100 people at a go. Where is the Remix? I went there the other day. I mean, they called us for an event, and I went there, and I was crying internally. Everything rotten up. So if this generation are not meeting such investment, how do you think you should commend them? You should commend all the young guys. How they've been able to use nothing to get to something. How they've been able to use their voice. How they've been able to, play around sound, traditional sound like Fuji, high life music, influence of P-pop, influence from Afrobeat by Fela. People always make that dissimilarities. They don't understand that Afrobeat created by Fela and Afrobeats with S. Yes, they might be conflicting, but at the end of the day, with the way it's going, you can also put a definition behind it. What Fela was doing as blues scales, half jazz, half classicals. And like I always tell everybody, the only few people that do that kind of music is Femi Kuti, Seun Kuti, Imade Kuti, Lagbaja. And when you have Afrobeat with an S, you have a lot of elements there. High life, you have Fuji, you have influence of hip-hop. And of course, influence of hip-hop, you have Olamide.
So they're actually different, is what
you're saying? They're very, very different. But there are still some borrowed elements from Fela itself.
But the message, it looks like the message
didn't
carry the message.
The messaging are so totally different because of this generation.
So is that positive, really? Because you know that Fela's music is still relatable today because it spoke to social ills, political ills. But Afrobeats, it's not the same.
I disagree. Food do not they.
When was that song sung? When was that song?
But the song is still relevant.
No, when was it sung? That was over a decade or 20 years.
I don't want to mention the name. Da. Is that not relevant?
That was like 20 years ago.
But it doesn't matter.
Those songs anymore.
But now you are in a generation where people want to talk about other topics.
But how sustainable is that? Because we're still in the context of.
But you don't understand what I'm saying. People want to talk about other topics. Okay. They want to talk about love. They want to talk about depression. They want to talk about feelings. They want to talk about so many different things. They want to talk about the physical body.
But sometimes some of the subject matters are aimless. I don't want to speak to some messagings from certain songs so that we don't put certain artists on the spot.
You say it's aimless because of the age bracket you are now.
But Bankulli,
I can never say she's still looking young.
No, Bankulli. Just because I mentioned all those years ago doesn't mean that I'm old. But I want you to speak to your role as you work with these artists, particularly those that we're X-raying now in their messaging from Afrobeat. What role do you play in prevailing on them to be more inspiring?
Oh wow, I'm looking at that picture. That picture
was yeah.
I mean, that picture was taken 4 a.m. in London, and it was after a show I put together. I mean, for Flavor, after the concert. I heard Wizkid was performing, and I'm like, okay, let's go and watch Wizkid. But it looks as if we're having,
a good time.
And the next day, the tour continued the next day. So by 7, I had to wake up and go back for sound check. So these are a lot of sacrifice. I don't want to talk about too many. A lot of them that, they put in their life. Wizkid grew up in Shita, Ojo-Elegba area. Look at that. A young boy from Shita Ojo-Elegba is commanding one of the biggest songs in the world. Apart from him being a Nigerian, being mentioned as a Nigerian, what has Nigeria government benefited from that? And I saw the topic you were talking about, tourism, right? December came. Afrobeats is the capital. The capital of Afrobeats is Lagos, right? Okay. But all these young guys are going touring all over the world. What happens in Lagos?
Even the Afro Nation was cancelled.
Why won't it be cancelled?
Well, there was a countdown festival at least.
You did not hold.
At all.
But I'm saying that, are you telling me that the government, I don't want to mention state, or so that it won't look as if, because I'm close to everybody. You want to tell me that government cannot partner with individual promoters to organize a 1-month concert, Afrobeats Welcome Home tourism concert in Lagos?
Across the country.
In Lagos. No. Okay, let's say across the country is too much. In Lagos. Imagine the amount of flights that will come in. Imagine the amount of tickets people will pre-book to come. Accommodation, Airbnb, food. What's government going to provide? Security.
Ticket price is a big issue.
No, it doesn't matter.
We'll talk about.
But I'm saying you want to bring the rest of the world here. Yeah. You want them to bring the dollars, pounds, sterling.
Okay.
There's something they call standard price.
Okay.
When it comes to that, even if there is going to be cheaper tickets, they know that they've sold the main tickets and they've recouped. They've recouped the most amount of their investment back. They're going to bring in a lot of equipment to fit in that. I hope you know that.
All right, Bankulli, before we begin to start wrapping up, I've been having this question on my mind. I must ask this, because when people see you with people like Kanye and Jay-Z, it's a big deal. This is you and Tenny, and of course, when they see you with these big guys who are commanding not just America but the entire world, this picture, people are concerned. How did you get to meet them? What is it that you are that makes them to respect you? What is it that you do that makes them to call you exactly? Because a lot of people would like to be like you who are in that space. So how did you meet Kanye? How did you meet Jay-Z? How did you meet Beyonce? How did you get to all of it?
We heard that was the fight between you and some artists.
I will talk about that.
Bankulli, what about your own personal projects, your own music? I mean, you promote all of these artists. Where are your own songs?
You're choking him with the question.
No. Let him answer this one. Then you can end with your project.
Okay, moving with this, there are only 2 pictures of this kind ever. And from Nigeria. I don't know if anybody have that around the world. And I believe this was the last. I don't know if there is any other picture you can find.
Both of them.
Like that, in that space. And that was the recording space. Another person that has this kind of picture in Nigeria is Don Jazzy. He was in the same room. And basically what was going on at that time was we were working on the Watch the Throne concert. And preluding that, we met Kanye in Dubai. And I remember that we were in Dubai for an event, for a birthday celebration of a top guy from Nigeria. And on our way out of Dubai, we got to the airport, and the hostess, they thought our convoy was Kanye, and they came like, oh, Mr. Kanye West. So we all knew. Even I say Kanye go there this place. So we were at Alat. Yeah. Really? We were like, okay, we were at Alat. So when we got there and we spotted him coming to the departure hall, so I told one of our guys, Chuchu, he lives in Abuja. I'm like, Chuchu, go and check whether that's Kanye. Please don't talk to him because I know Chuchu. Or Chuchu actually went ahead. That's the picture, you see.
Oh,
so that's the only. So Chuchu actually went there, saw him, and went to greet him. What I told him not to do, he did it. So when the library just come, so when he came and he told us Kanye was there, and I told everybody, I just, out of the spirit, I'm like, anything you want to play for Kanye, let's go and meet him now. And I remember somebody said, he has problem with paparazzi. I said, what concerns you? Let's go and meet him. I don't know where the confidence came.
The boldness, the confidence.
Exactly. So, so we approached him, and we approached him, and I spoke to him. I'm like, hi, my name is Bankulli. And I stretched my hand to him. He was sitting down, and he stood up. He said, how are you? I said, I'm fine. That I manage the band. And he's one of the biggest artists in Africa. And he was on the same stage with you at the Star Mega Jam previously. And he said, yes, I remember Star Mega Jam. And the band was wearing a jacket, a billionaire jacket. And he said, I like your jacket. And from there, we told him that we have some music to play for him. And he listened to two of them. And when he was listening to one of the music, he started hearing, final body. And we told everybody that, everybody go. We were ready to sleep in Dubai. So everybody left, and we played the first song, we played the second song, and exactly his words. I paid some people at the Los Angeles University to study Nigeria, to study African music. They've not been able to come up with the kind of sound I'm looking for. What I'm looking for, I can hear it in exactly what he just played for me. Who produced the song? And we said Don Jazzy is back home in Nigeria. He said, okay, let's link up in New York. And when you're coming, come with Don Jazzy. And of course, we went back home. We got to Nigeria. We told Don Jazzy that we saw Kanye West. He didn't believe. He said, go and sit down somewhere. How can you meet Kanye West? And he said, you should come to Dubai. He didn't believe it until we went to New York. We were in New York, and I was in charge. I sent a mail. We have a mail. He gave us a mail to communicate. He doesn't have phone at that time. And okay, this picture is very relevant to this story. So we were in New York, and we were waiting to communicate to Kanye. The number he gave us was not going. Apparently, the person's number, the person has been sacked by Kanye. So we were stuck in New York for like a week. I was sending emails, and email was just, nobody was responding. So we reached out to one of our big bros in New York, Mr. Gugwa, who came back and gave us an email address that we can send email to. So I sent email to that email. And that person apparently was Kanye's close friend, Don C. And hi, my name is Bankulli. We met Kanye in Dubai. He told us to link up with him in New York. We're in New York. This is the fifth day.
We're running out of time. Quickly, your personal project.
We go on and on.
I'm telling you. My personal project. My personal project are two beautiful artists that I picked, and one, her name is Constance. And the other one is Basil.
Okay.
And of course, I still worked on. I'm still working on different. I'm working on a project for Shatta Wale. Of Ghana as well.
Okay, is it the All My Life song by Constance? That's the song now.
That All My Life is me featuring Constance and Basil. Right. Trying to use my own, image exactly to introduce them.
We should continue this conversation sometime.
We should.
I'm always
absolutely. I want to thank you so much, Bankulli, music entrepreneur, the star plug, the neck that holds all international collaborations.
God is the plug.
I love that.
Again, your
humility. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so
much. We'll talk
much
about your relationship with Kanye West, the fight, maybe in another conversation. Thank you so much for your time.
No problem.
Very best.
Thank you so much for coming.
Greatest UIs.
Great.
That's it.
Okay. Greatest morning brief, Jeff.
Greatest Malabai.
We'll go on a quick break now. When we return, we're talking money, business, and John McQuarrie joins us right after this. We're linking all of the conversation to the Forex. Stay with us. It's still the morning brief.
And welcome back to the Morning Brief. Now we're moving ahead in our conversation this morning to talk about your pocket size. How much is your Naira worth currently? Yes, I know 1,323 Naira at the parallel market, and that's a lot of headache for Nigerians concerning the diminishing value. Well, for all of the insights, we have joining us our business correspondent, Ini John Mekwa. Ini, it's so good to see you.
Good
and you're looking
here.
nice, by the way.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I don't want you guys to beat me to it, because I know you guys always come intimidating.
Our money is working.
Really? Your money is working.
Our money is working.
We're doing well.
Your Naira isn't working. Your Naira isn't working. Yesterday was a very bad day. The Naira dropped to a record low. That's in the parallel market that you said. For the official market, it went to about 900. Now that's terrible. We know it has hit 1,000 before. And I really like one thing that your last guest, Bankulli, said. It's a great idea. We have so many great ideas on how to boost the Naira, which we're not using. As he said, imagine that we invited the world to Lagos, for instance. We are looking for FX. You know, if we had FX, then we will move our attention from demand of FX, because anything you demand for, you know, actually increases in value. And that's why the dollar is getting more expensive for the Naira, you know. And so at this time, we've talked about some of the drivers. We're wondering why now? Why do we have, you know, this terrible fall? Even though we did see it, and you see it during festive period, because, you know, during festive period, everybody wants to spend money. You want to stay in hotels. Some people want to travel out. Some people want to import. We are very import dependent. You know, show your jacket and everything.
No, this was made by someone in Nigeria, longest.
Right here. Down the road.
No, this was made by Olayinka. Actually, down the road. The woman actually made this.
Oh, nice. Really nice. Yeah. But I bet you the fabric was imported.
I knew you were
going to go.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I'm guilty of the same thing. I can't say this was made in Nigeria. I can't say Buki's shoes. No, my shoes were made in.
This was made in Lagos. Solely Eco.
Really?
Yeah, I can go.
What about the materials?
It could have been got from Nigeria. This is leather. We have leather in
Nigeria. We process leather here. We have expensive chairs, beautiful chairs. We have timber in Nigeria. Do we process them here? Do you get
exporting?
It's not my fault.
Jobs outside the country.
Got started.
And by extension, the forex. Interesting point that you made.
So these are the issues that keep devaluing our Naira. Now it's worse at this season because a lot of people, a lot of Nigerians who stay abroad, you know, they actually came back home for Christmas. Now they are going back.
IJGB.
And there's a demand for forex. But yes, was there anything we could have done about that, really, Ini?
Well, I don't know if there's something you can do about that, because the Japa syndrome is still there. And it doesn't look like it's going now because of the stiff policies from the UK. Last year, for instance, we saw that there was 73% surge in the number of UK visas demanded by Nigerians. So you can imagine how many Nigerians actually went to the UK. I actually have the number somewhere right here. So in the UK, we can see that a total of 141,000 Nigerians migrated to the UK between June 2022 and June 2023. Within a year, 141,000. UK visas surged 73,000. Nigerians in Europe, 390,000. You understand? When we had that restriction that the UK introduced, I think it started early this year, you know, for families to travel abroad and all of that. That is a discouraging factor. But guess what? It's not discouraging Nigerians from leaving the country. Nigerians are beginning to look for alternative routes. Asia, Europe, and all of that. Italy. In fact, I hear that Nigerians in Australia has more than doubled. So we may not be seeing UK. UK think they can keep us home. No, they cannot. They can take us abroad. We can still go to Australia.
You know, behind the figures, Ini, is something which, a very important point. All these people, before they travel, they use their Naira in exchange for dollar. That's the demand you talked about.
Yes.
Or each of them, they have to get, what is it, $10,000 or even more.
Yes.
And they use Naira.
If you want to join your family, I think you have to raise something more than $10,000 in the UK.
So that's the point you were making. I saw that the CBN released a statement about FX, tackling FX transaction abuses, clearing liabilities, backlog, and the rest. And I wonder for you, because the statement from the CBN says the CBN has paid approximately $2 billion across various sectors.
Yes.
Does that move the needle in any way?
It hasn't, I tell you.
Why?
Because
it's not significant enough.
We're owing paying about $780 million. And you pay, do you understand? You're owing.
I think that's for
so
the airline
much.
sector.
That's for the airlines, yes.
Alone.
So you're owing, and guess what? As we speak, there's even more added to it. Do you understand? So it's so much that last week, the airlines released a statement to threaten that they're leaving the country. And you and I know that even as we speak, a lot of Nigerians travel through Cotonou and all of that. Tickets are cheaper. In Nigeria, because of the risks, airlines have to increase the prices.
What about the intervention? Sorry, Jeffrey, in relation to that, what about the intervention by the NNPC to borrow money from a Flexing bank? Does that help?
We thought that was going to help. We thought that was going to help.
It didn't help. 2.25 was paid. 2.25 billion was paid.
We saw a little bit of
billion.
positive movement, but it didn't even last for up to a week.
Yeah,
because the
of the
demand
backlog
is still very high. And as I said, this period, the demand is really high. School fees, international school fees, those who were just traveling, those who were going back to their base, and all of that pulls on the Naira.
It sounds like, because I know that Afrexim promised 3 billion, they paid 2.25, which was not significant enough, because we're ever looking for 10 billion at the end of the day, which will still not do enough because of the backlogs we have. So the problem sometimes is, which is my question to you, does it look like we're just experimenting? Do we really know what we're doing as a country sometimes? Because it looks like on the tariff side, we can actually increase tariff on all of this importation in terms of policies and trade policies and all of that. But we're not getting the fundamentals right. Do you think that the federal government is not looking at fundamentals with the urgency it requires? Power.
So Jeffrey, you don't need to go so far. The government knows the solution. We don't have the willpower. Now, let me ask you a question. When the lawmakers were going to buy their cars, did you hear them go to a Nigerian, not even made vehicle, we have Nigerian coupled vehicle? Can you imagine how much forex they used to buy those cars? Can you imagine if our government officials will only wear locally made fabric? I'm not saying locally sewn fabric.
And buy locally made vehicles, locally assembled vehicles at least.
What's going on? Why are you pointing that?
Do you understand? Can you imagine what pressure that would take off the Naira? Now, if your government, if your president...
Our government, what are you pointing at? Our government,
Jeffrey, are you feeling hit?
We're all in this together.
Okay, so if imagine that our president, President Bola Tinubu, our Senate president, our deputy, and all of that, they come out in locally produced, I'm not saying sewn, produced fabrics, and they drive locally assembled vehicles. I bet you will not have the guts to come on air with this.
Just before we wrap up, which is why I talked about the fundamentals. You're talking about locally produced. We don't have power. Those are the fundamentals I'm talking about. The country is not as safe as we want it to be. Those are the fundamentals I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Those are the fundamentals we're talking about.
But Jeffrey, we can take advantage of what's available, whatever.
When China closed their borders and we're consuming only locally made, we used to call China made fake. Whenever there was anything from China, you call the fake. They have improved on that.
Look at me, I'm wearing all made in Nigeria, and this is
without it. That's the
You're wearing what's sewn in Nigeria.
In 60 seconds, Ini.
Yes.
Despite all of these challenges with our forex, advise Nigerians, how do we go about investing despite all of the challenges that we're having?
Oh, don't take me to investments, because the NGX is doing so well. It's the best performing in the world at this time.
I'm there, but I understand.
I also want to say the other side of this diaspora thing is the remittances. So of course we know Nigerians are very family-related people. So we saw that personal remittances received in Nigeria increased by $0.7 billion. That's about 3.59% in 2022 compared to the one for 2023 is not yet out. So all these people going out, some analysts say we shouldn't look at it all at the black side, because eventually they'll start sending money home, and perhaps that's where our forex will come.
Let's get our fundamentals.
We can only keep our
Let's get our fundamentals right.
And by the way, Ini has put us on the spot, including herself. So we have to start considering wearing.
Tomorrow you wear a
Mine is simple.
So tomorrow, we wear Adire jackets.
Mine is simple. Mine is simple. Fix.
Legendary look.
Wait, guys. We're almost round up.
Kayode, I know you know how to handle this.
Ini, you're the businesswoman. Please tell the people in charge. Let us fix power. We have 13,000 installed capacity, generating capacity. We're utilizing just a tenth of it.
Don't get me started on that because do you think you can fix power if those important generators?
We will do it. We'll do it.
Next time.
Thank you. And it's always coming here to first
when I come here.
Nigeria is able to do it if we resolve to do the right thing. We're able to do it. Buy locally assembled goods. Buy made in Nigeria clothes.
Yeah.
Let's resolve to it. Thank you so much for being a part of the program this morning. I hope you had a jolly good ride as we have. Join us again, same time tomorrow when we bring you another edition of the Morning Brief. I am Bukola Koka.
And of course, Jeff Rozoini has some questions to answer. We're going to bring the Minister of Fire to answer those questions. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Banjo, Paul Majem, Oluwafemi, and the rest. Thank you for your posts on X. We appreciate you. Don't forget to buy meat in Nigeria. Be like Kayode. Thank all of us. Goodbye.
Goodbye. See you tomorrow.